Welcome back to my channel. This is my first video on YouTube. I'm coming to you today to talk about fibroids and women's health issues. If you see me looking down, that is because I do have a script here, some points that I want to go over during this video to help you all out. So my name is Tiffany. I am in my 30s, somewhere in my 30s. I have had a 15-year struggle with fibroids, which is what we'll be talking about today. This is going to be a series of videos from which I cover this specific topic and talk about things that you can do to mitigate these issues on your end and or get the care that you need so that you don't have to take the measures that I took. So I had a partial hysterectomy, meaning I still have my ovaries, but my fallopian tubes, uterus, and cervix were surgically removed. And this is because I had a 15-year issue with fibroids. So this started when I was in high school, actually. I would have really bad periods to the point where I could not function. I would have really bad pain to the point where I would need to regurgitate anything that was in my system. And so that was when I first started to notice that something was a little off. But at the time, I had a friend who was also experiencing the same thing. And so I was thinking, okay, well, maybe that's normal. Also, I am a teenager, so there isn't much that I know about women's health issues, nor is there much that was taught to me about women's health issues. Put a pin in that. We'll come back to that at another video. So when I was in high school, I noticed that I would get really bad pain, and then in college, this is when I noticed a second change. So the first change being that, I would get my period, it would hurt really bad, and I would have to throw up. Second change was when I was in college, and I just noticed that my flow was a lot heavier, and the pain was also increasing. So, I'm in college thinking maybe it's just me coming into my womanhood and this is the price that you pay, because a lot of my life I've heard, we have really bad periods in our family. That's just something that was passed down to us and is a sign of royalty. And I just want to say here, that's not something that we should be teaching our young women, because they'll be struggling through life thinking that this is normal, and it's not normal. So anytime you notice any change in your, monthly menses, your cycle, any part of your cycle, go get the help that you need. Go ask the doctor about it. But I will also encourage you to do your own research on the side, just so you'll know the symptoms that you're having, what they can lead to. So you can look at the possible causes of the symptoms. So when you go in and they, try and diagnose you or try not to diagnose you, we'll talk about that also, then what you can do is say, okay, well, I saw such and such and that it could be this. Could I get a test to make sure it's not this? Could I get a test to make sure it's not that? And at any time, if they refuse your questions or requests for any type of test, you make sure you say, okay, well, I would like that noted in my chart that on such and such day at such and such time, you refused a test, and you will promptly get your test. It does work. I've done that before. So with all that said, anytime you notice any change, go seek help. Also, research, because you need to know about your body and how it functions, so that you can explain that to somebody. So if you're experiencing any type of issue, you at least need to have basic understanding as to what's happening in my body when this is going on, and be able to ask questions or lead or push the medical care associate to treat you further, to try to find out what's going on with this. So that's just what I want to say there. So in college, I noticed everything changed. My cramps were getting worse, and then my flow was also getting worse. So mind you, now I'm in college, I'm eating chicken fingers and fries every day, not realizing that the things that I'm putting inside of my body are having a direct reflection of what I'm seeing on the outside. this has all been like a learning journey for me as far as it goes with women's health, because no one in my family knew anything about what causes fibroids. So like a lot of times fibroids are caused by hormonal imbalances. A lot of those reproductive issues are caused by hormonal imbalances. But for some reason, the doctors don't tell you that and don't tell you how you can balance your hormones. You would just suffer through all of these ailments and diseases thinking that they were normal, and that's not the case. None of this is normal. You should not be experiencing any of this. So I just want to say that also. I was in college. I also had anxiety, really bad anxiety, like to the point where it was affecting the daily quality of my life. I had really bad anxiety. I went through a strong bout of depression where I just didn't want to do anything, didn't want to get out of bed. I would be asleep for long periods of time during the day and wake up and be up at night as if there was something to do. So, anxiety could also be an indicator in women to tell you that just remember that if you're having anxiety, you may need to get your hormones checked. So that way you'll at least be able to know if they are out of balance. You'll be able to know what to do. If they are in balance, then you can move to the next step, whatever that may be. So at the time all of this was happening, I did not have a job because I went through a point where the anxiety was affecting my life so great that I ended up having to drop out of college. In turn, I also lost the job that I had, so I had to look to find another one. So I found a job, and I just remember like going through orientation being so drained with everything. I was drained because I was so anxious. I was using all of my energy for being anxious. I was drained because we were there for like 8 hours. I was drained because I was used to sitting at home, laying in bed all day because I had anxiety and depression, didn't want to go anywhere or do anything. And I just remember I came home from orientation and I sat in the car and fell asleep. And I could not, for the life of me, get out of that car. I was so tired. I just remember I was so tired. Kind of when I started noticing, okay, I might need to do something about this because it's getting a bit much. Now, at the time, I didn't realize that the anxiety and depression were also tied into all of this. I just thought, I was depressed and anxious. Before I found this job at Whole Foods, though, I did not have a job at all. I did not have any health insurance. When I got the job, there was a probationary period that we had before you were able to activate your health benefits. So I went through that probationary period, or I almost did actually. I was just at work, walking down the hallway, just thinking about everything and how I've been feeling. And I'm just like, this can't be my life. Like, I just feel terrible. I just feel bad. You know how you just feel ill? I don't know if you've ever felt that, but if you have, it's not a great feeling. Feeling that you're unwell and not being able to pinpoint what that is, that would also make you anxious. I'm sure anybody out there can relate, us women. Thinking about everything like, something's not right. I think I need to go to the emergency room. And I'm glad I listened to my gut and I went to the emergency room because I found out that I had a hemoglobin at a level 5, and the normal range for hemoglobin, I believe, is 12 to 15.5. Mine was a 5. I was getting up every day going to work doing manual labor with a 5. No wonder I felt so terrible. I ended up having to have an emergency blood transfusion because my hemoglobin was so low and I had lost so much blood dealing with these fibroids. And then they also came back and told me that I had uterine fibroids. And so I'm like, fibroids? What is that? Nobody ever told me anything about fibroids. Now, the funny thing is, nobody tells you anything until you find out that you have an issue. Like, I barely knew anything about women's reproductive issues at this point. The little bit that I had known was because we did sex ed in high school. Past that, I didn't really know anything else. because my parents didn't sit down and talk to us about stuff like this, which I'm sure a lot of you can relate there. I'm in the hospital freaking out. Like, they told me I have fibroids. What is that? They said growth, and that's the only thing I can hear. The word growth. That was just running through my head. And so I was in there freaking out. My mom and my doctor was trying to console me, and they were telling me that it was normal and all this other stuff. But you know, in your 20s, you have that invincibility complex, as if nothing can affect you. You know, life hasn't really happened to you yet. So you still have a little bit of that, you know, young naivete that you carry through your childhood to your adulthood with. But, you know, life happens. This video was mainly to introduce you all to myself and tell you a little bit about my story and what I'll be discussing here on the channel. So I would like for this to be a support group for other women that are also going through similar issues or have gone through those issues. So that way we could kind of like guide the next generation in a better way. And you know, since I don't have any kids at this point, this would be my mothering. I'm going to mother online by helping other young ladies that have similar issues get the help that they need, whether that is providing resources for you all or just recommendations on things that I've just found along the way. If you have any questions or anything, you want to hit me up, please do so. You can click on my channel. I'll have an email address listed there. Just send me an email and I'll do my best to answer it to the best of my ability. And if I cannot answer it, then I'll find somebody who can. So stay tuned for part 2, because this will be a multi-part series where we're discussing this topic. If this is not something that you are interested in, please feel free to click off the video. It doesn't cost you anything. And thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you next time. Willie Earl! I'm done.